Alright, in this video, I am sharing 14 easy hacks that are guaranteed to make your life on the road or car camping experience easier, less stressful, and more convenient. Ready? Let's get into it. By the way, I'm Heather. Welcome to my channel, Heather's Hikes and Adventures, or if you're returning, welcome back and thanks for joining me again. Now, as the title and my intro gave away, instead of going on an adventure with you all today, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite, simplest hacks, tips, tricks, little gadgets that I utilize to make car camping way easier. I'm not going to blab any more about it. Let's just dive right into number one, shall we? First one up is to take advantage of the sun while you're driving. Now, as you know, your dashboard absorbs a ton of sunlight, so you might as well utilize that to charge any kind of solar devices that might be convenient to put up there while you're driving. That way you can utilize your drive time to charge back up. For example, what I like to use is my Luci Light. I like to just toss up there and collect the sun as I'm driving so that once I get to camp, it's all charged up and ready to go for the night. And I'll also stick it on the hood of my van while I am at camp in between to really soak up the sun, because you know the dash and the hood, you know how hot they get under the sunlight. So use that to your advantage. All right, number two, if you spend any amount of time in your vehicle, but especially if you're going to be camping and specifically sleeping in it, get yourself a set of rain guards, windshields, whatever you want to call them. Game changer. I mean, night and day difference. No pun intended. But honestly, they are just so handy to use when you need some ventilation, but you don't want your windows just wide open and exposed to the elements. I've also noticed, knock on wood, even in Florida, that when I just have them cracked a little bit to where they're not underneath where the rain guard ends, I don't really get bugs coming in and out of my vehicle unless they're really thick in the area I'm camping in which case I already have my screens on anyways. And that's what we're going to talk about next. But first, let me show you what they look like from the inside, because you guys have seen them a million times in my videos from the outside. But I don't think I've ever shown you kind of an interior look if you don't already have them. So let's do that. You can see from the inside where the wind guard ends, or the rain guard ends. And as you can see when I put the window down, there's no way to tell from the outside that it's down at all. So it allows for that airflow, but it's still, it essentially acts as though all windows are still closed. Okay, now back to the screens that I briefly mentioned. If you do not have a set of stretchy mesh window screens for your windows, you're going to want to invest in them. Make sure you're buying the right size for your vehicle. If you have a sedan, you don't need as large of a size, obviously, as if you have a minivan or a large SUV. So kind of pay attention to that while you're ordering. But it's a great way to enable you to keep those windows down without letting bugs in or out. Of course, it's not the most stealth. It does offer you a little bit more privacy, though. And again, it is clutch for keeping the mosquitoes, even the no-see-ums. If you don't know what no-see-ums are, consider yourself blessed. But if you do, you will know that you do not want them anywhere near the inside of your vehicle before you try to go to sleep at night. So, window screens, a must. Kind of along that same vein transitions us right on into the next hack. And that is that you do not need to spend a fortune to be able to leave your vehicle opened up and still get that bug-free privacy screen effect that you do in those really expensive custom fit screen doors, like for the big vans or cargo van, whatever type vehicle you have. When you get the custom ones, they're not cheap. So let me share what I use and have been using now for quite a while. And altogether, to cover my entire vehicle, I'm in I want to say under $40 for sure, but I think closer to $30. So my hack is to use a super cheap $5 mosquito net, extra large size, to cover your back hatch. All you need are a couple of heavy-duty magnets to affix to each side, and you're good to go. I don't know why I feel the need to use my hands so much today, but cheap mosquito netting for the back, good to go. You could do the same thing on the sides, which would probably require a little more finesse, and then you'd have to kind of lift them as you go in or out. What I have found to be the perfect solution and hack for my side sliding doors is the Magic Mesh screen doors with the magnetic closures that they sell for like patio doors at Sticks and Bricks homes. They do come in a variety of widths, so again, double check that. But the standard one ends up being like the perfect size to cover my minivan sliders when they're open. All I had to do was cut the length off of the bottom that was excess so that there wouldn't be a lot dragging. Couple of magnets, although one of my subscribers actually gave me the idea to use Velcro instead of magnets, but magnets do work great as well. So what I have now, and I don't even know if you can see them, but along the side here, I have like little circular Velcros, and then the other side is on my Magic Mesh. And, well, let me show you. Easy peasy way to protect your vehicle from those pesky bugs for not a lot of money and only about 5 minutes or less once you get to camp. So could not be easier, could not be cheaper. Let's move on. You are now joining me in the back for my next hack, which is always keep your keys in the exact same spot. Always. This will prevent you from panicking and losing them, which you inevitably will do if you do not. Another hack is to always keep your headlamp on the back of your headrest. I used to keep mine on my driver's seat, but I've moved it back here to the back passenger seat in this current easy setup since I'm normally getting out of bed when it's dark, and then it's right there within reach before I even get out of bed. Another thing I want to talk about that most of us are probably familiar with, but I have found to be a super useful hack that for some reason up until I started my part-time van life, I never utilized, but now I do not know what I would do without it. And that is really utilizing Google Maps. Now you might be saying, Heather, of course you've used Google Maps before. And yes, for navigation, I think most of us are familiar with using Google Maps for navigation. But utilize the filters that they give you too, because let me tell you, that makes things so much easier when you're traveling and when you're in areas you're not familiar with. For example, you can filter by rest stop, by gas station, by travel stop. You can tell the ones that I use the most frequently, but you can filter by anything. You can even add your own custom filters. If you want to filter to the Paneras that you're by, or the closest Walmarts, things like that, you can build those filters into. I am a low-tech girly, so I like to utilize it for what I most frequently need to look up while I'm driving in the moment and don't want to exit navigation. So, for example, if I am going to be needing to pee soon, I will just add the filter for rest stop in, because I personally like to avoid getting off the highway at an exit or detouring too much when I'm en route somewhere, because I want to get there as quick as I can. So I like the on the highway rest stops where you just pull right off, pee, and pull right back on. So that's normally what I filter by. If there's not one close and it's going to be a long time, then I'll add the filter for gas station or travel stop in the area too, and then it'll pull up like the Loves, the Pilots, Circle K's, all of those. But my point is, utilize those filters to your advantage to kind of custom fit your specific traveling needs, and it makes things so much less stressful, at least if you get stressed out easily by driving like I do. All right, moving. While we're on the subject of Google Maps, another thing that I have started really utilizing them for, especially for areas where I know the service is going to be spotty, but in general, for areas I'm unfamiliar with that I'm going to be traveling through, download your maps ahead of time on Google Maps. Google how, if you need the step-by-step. I'm not going to lie, if it's been a long time since I've needed to do that, I still have to look it up, and I have used it a bunch. Again, low-tech girly. But definitely utilize that feature on Google Maps, because if you download the area you're going to be in, for instance, when I was going to be traveling through northern Georgia, Tennessee, and into Alabama, I kind of knew the general area I was going to be covering and didn't have the most specific itinerary that I always do. And rather than, adding in destination A to B, B to C, I just downloaded that whole kind of general area. And then that way, if I was driving through a national forest or an area that didn't have service, I could still pull up a new spot I wanted to navigate to without having to worry about being out of service and no longer having that ability. So use that hack. I have mentioned shower shoes in a previous hack video. In fact, I'll link that video below, because if you haven't seen that already, that has a lot of useful information too. But in addition to using shower shoes, you're going to want to use, this is mainly to the females I'm talking to now that are going to benefit from this, but on a broader scale, just keep it easy. Something super easy on and off that's not going to cling to you. A shower dress. What is a shower dress, you ask? Basically any kind of loose fitting or elastic pullover, shift dress, any type of dress that you can just pull on and off over your head that covers all of the important bits when you're walking around camp, or if you're going from the shower house back to your campsite, or if you're going into a truck stop for a shower, something that's going to look, somewhat presentable, not like super put together, mind you, but, presentable. And you don't have to worry about that humid kind, especially in campgrounds, truck stops, and other areas that are air conditioned and temp controlled, maybe not so much, but campground shower rooms are notorious for being sticky and humid and muggy once the water's turned off, and then you're trying to get dressed and everything's sticking and clinging to you, and you're sweaty again by the time you're dressed. So if you use a shower dress, you just pull that baby right over your head, walk to camp. By then you're also a little more air dried, your skin is no longer sticky, and then you can get dressed in the comfort of your own space. Shower dress. The next two things I want to talk about are safety related, and I think super important. The first is to have some type of roadside assistance, whether it's included with your insurance plan, whether it's a third-party roadside assistance company like AAA, which is what I personally use and personally recommend. It's important to have some type of roadside assistance. I actually also would like to point out that if I get a lot of people that say that, oh, it's included in my insurance, and roadside assistance oftentimes is, but make sure you know what your policy actually covers. And it's also important to know exactly, if you have AAA, what that does cover, because it's not just tows. A lot of people think it's just for tows or jump starts, but my AAA also covers lockouts. If I lock my keys in the vehicle, if you lose your key, like say you're at a lake somewhere and it ends up at the bottom of the lake and nowhere to be seen again, knock on wood, I do not want to manifest that. But, and you need a replacement key made. They have that service available in most areas. The one service that I have found invaluable with them, and I also love their AAA batteries, is the battery replacement service. A couple of times over the years, my battery has been dead, and not even a jump start is bringing that baby back to life, and I've needed a new battery. With the mobile replacement service, I don't have to have it towed or go get a battery and bring it back. They just bring one right out. You can buy it, or in my case, it's Florida, so it's still under warranty most of the time. And then they just replace that with a brand new one. You're good to go. So definitely get roadside assistance and know what benefits are included with it. The next safety feature that I want to talk about that's road related is to invest in your own jump starter. Yes, jumper cables are good and important to have, but having a portable jump starter that's charged up, make sure you keep it charged up, is awesome because you don't have to rely on another person or another vehicle to get you going. And if you're in a remote spot and you don't want to wait for somebody, you can get started on your own, even if you're the only car around for miles. So definitely recommend that. Another hack that I have found particularly effective, especially in my hiking days when I am working up a sweat and it is hot and muggy and humid outside and I do not need to paint the picture. But I do not have a rooftop box right now or anything like that where I can store dirty laundry outside of my vehicle. And I don't know about you, but if I'm going to be sleeping in here, I really don't want to be smelling my sweaty socks from the miles that I hiked during the day. So my solution to that has been to use dry bags. Any kind of like waterproof bag, dry bag like that that's used for storing swimsuits and things of that nature are perfect because they do not let the smell escape the way just, like a pillowcase or reusable cloth bag or more traditional laundry bags would do. Now, of course, they don't ventilate as well either, so you're not going to want to leave them in there for like 2 months before you wash them. But honestly, it's been a great way to cut down on any kind of funky smells or that not so fresh feeling inside Tara. And then I can keep doing my hikes without smelling like I have been. All right, so for hack number 13, we're going to be discussing towel choice. Notice how I have very, very thin towels. I either use these nice Turkish towels here that are super thin, or these microfiber towels. They don't seem like they would be as absorbent or dry you as well, but they do. And the benefit to these over standard towels is they dry so much faster. All right, y'all, we are at number 14. Full disclosure, I originally started with 13, but I didn't want any superstition to get in there and for it to feel unlucky. So I added a 14th hack for you all. But it's seriously something that is extremely useful. And since I've started doing it, I am so glad that I did. And that is to have a little fanny pack or a small sling, something that you can keep on you in a pinch when you're around camp that will hold your keys, your phone, your wallet, those necessities that if you don't necessarily have pockets on at the moment or something that, other than your hands to hold them all, you don't want to have your hands full of crap when you're just thinking you're walking to the restroom and back. Plus, then you have to find a spot to put everything down at. And then, say you find an interesting trail or you get distracted by something else in the campground or you decide to go for a little stroll. You already have everything in one centralized, easy, hands-free location. So both of your hands are still free. You're able to wander away from your site without worrying about having to carry and hold your keys, a water bottle, your phone, all of that stuff. And then before you know it, you're walking around like this, and that's not exactly, a safety recommendation or convenient. So sling or fanny pack, definitely going to help you out. And there you have it, folks. 14 simple, easy, very cheap or free methods or hacks that are going to help save you so much time, stress, energy, effort, etc., etc. The important thing is they're going to make your life easier. So, use these hacks. Do you have any hacks that you would want to add? If so, let me and the other viewers know down below. What was your favorite hack that you might not have thought of before? Let me know that too. I'm curious if any of them are like, yeah, Heather, that's kind of common sense. Or if any of them were like, whoa, how did I not think of that before? But either way, I want to thank you if you've gotten this far for watching till the end. I want to thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And I will see you very soon on the next adventure. Bye for now, friends.